And welcome everybody to another episode of Fins Nation. I am your host Louis Sung, and today we are going to be talking with somebody who is actually rather new to the Five Reasons Sports Network. For those of you who are not aware, we do have a thing called playback that we are constantly going on. And when we do Miami Dolphins coverage, it is usually coming from the folks of Inside Leverage. I am joined by Chad of Inside Leverage, affiliates with the Five Reasons Sports Network. Mr. Chad, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Lewis. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate the opportunity to be on the platform with you, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. I know that you guys do a lot of fun work. You guys are awesome on playback. You guys have a really good rapport with everybody at the Inside Leverage group. Tell us a little bit about what the group is like. When did you get started and all that?
Well, we've been together for some time now. We were provided the opportunity from Ethan. Very thankful for the opportunity to kind of do something a little bit more formal. We went and formed Inside Leverage. It gave a group of Dolphin fans who are very passionate about the team an opportunity to come together and formally be able to talk about the team on a platform that not too many people are familiar with, but we're pushing to grow and get the word out about it and playback, and allows us to watch a lot of the game highlights and film breakdowns and things like that while we're able to talk amongst the fans. And very similar to a Twitter Spaces where we've made our bones, I'd say. Pretty much pretty successful. We've been doing Spaces for about 3 years. We worked hard to try to bring some light to the platform. We feel like the voice of the fans are a prominent thing that it's going to give an opportunity for everyone to be heard going forward. So it was something we took a liking to, and just now we've had the opportunity with Five Reasons to do the playbacks and talk Dolphins football, and we're doing them as much as we can throughout the week, and just trying to bring good content and be a part of the community, and just do our part.
No, I hear you, man, and that's awesome. And I'm really glad to have you with us here at the network, and of course now here on this show. We're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about the Commanders game coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about Jason Pierre-Paul being signed officially to the roster, so we're getting some veteran leadership there. But before we get into all that, just want to go ahead and mention that, as always, this show is brought to you by our good friends over at PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is the revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues, whether that is the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, one of each. It's up to you to decide. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less than their projected stat. They give you free squares, special Taco Tuesday promos, Flex Friday specials where you can get your money back if you lose, or multiply the amount of money you can normally win. So with offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you're any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and then we'll match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. Again, this promo code 5, FIVE. Go to prizepicks.com, deposit your $100, and let PrizePicks give you $100 of their dollars for you to play with and get started winning today. And this show is also now affiliate sponsored by My Nintendo Store. So if you're a gamer like me, you probably know that Nintendo has been there for nearly 50 years for us, creating all-time classics that are remembered by pretty much every generation growing up. It doesn't matter how old you are, you probably heard of Nintendo, and of course the Super Mario Brothers. Right now they have special deals going on for what are sure to be more top-selling games in Nintendo's endlessly long lineup. For instance, Super Mario RPG, a classic from the days of the Nintendo 64, it has been completely remastered from the ground up, and as of November 17th, it has been released to the public for new audiences to enjoy. And also out right now is Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is the Mario Bros. Latest completely new game that is already receiving rave reviews from both critics and actual gamers alike. Anybody who knows what gaming is like knows how hard it is to get those two groups to agree with each other, so you know it's good stuff there. Once again, all you have to do to get these special deals, just click the links in the description below this video to order, and you will be getting bonus items upon making your purchase. So make sure you head on in there. Again, My Nintendo Store, your best and quickest gateway to the world of Nintendo. All right, Chad, so let's get into this. So obviously the Miami Dolphins went ahead and brought in Jason Pierre-Paul, currently 34 years of age. He's actually started 13 of the 14 games that he played for the Baltimore Ravens last season. According to Pro Football Focus, his actual ability, it's weird. It's very weird. Like, he had some great games pass rushing last season for the Ravens. He had some not so great games pass rushing for the Ravens last season. But for what he was able to accomplish for somebody who is getting to the point where he's 34 years old. He's starting to get up there in age. Obviously, not we can't mention Jason Pierre-Paul without mentioning the accident that took away a few of his fingers. So he does have that at least a little bit of a handicap in that regard, but he has still maintained a certain ability to continue to rush the passer. He also has an innate ability to set the edge, I think. So it was actually interesting because we were recording Pulse of Fins Nation just a few moments ago, and Alfredo Arteaga had pointed out that the reason they signed Jason Pierre-Paul is not necessarily to replace Jalen Phillips' pass rushing capabilities. It might be because he just has the necessary size to help set the edge the way that Jalen Phillips was as well. So I wanted to get your whole thoughts on the Jason Pierre-Paul thing. What do you think about the fact that the Dolphins signed him? And what do you think about the fact that the Dolphins signed him over another familiar face who we had last season in Melvin Ingram, who is also still a free agent?
Yeah, the Jason Pierre-Paul signing was it wasn't a surprise because when the Jalen Phillips injury happened, we immediately, as fans, began to scroll and say, "Hey, what guys make sense?" And he's a guy that me and a few of my friends we talked about, and he's a guy that we kind of honed in on as a possibility to be able to come in. He has that championship acumen. He's a guy that's been there and done it before. He can be a veteran presence and show these guys how to prepare and what to expect come, playoff football and all that. Just another guy, a veteran presence to kind of add to what we already have inside of the building. And what he gives us on the field, for me personally, I look at everything that he would be able to do as a bonus. I know with Vic Fangio, he's big on trust, and without his trust, you won't be able to get much playing time. So if he's able to come in, pick up the scheme and gain Vic's trust, I'm sure he can find the role. And the edge setting that you're referring to is a underrated element of his game. He gets pretty much thrown around as more of a pass rushing type of guy, but in Tampa, he was very good setting the edge. Him and Barrett were guys who were a part of that very prominent run defense. I know the big guy in the middle gets a lot of the praise, but those guys on the edge were doing a great job setting the edges there during the Brady era. And again, he's a guy who was experienced, and I look at it in the light of a Claypool being in that it's a different situation, but it's kind of like he's not a guy that we're going to be depending on to come in and save us. We have Van Ginkel, we have Ogba, we have other guys who can contribute in that light, and it's a good, solid signing overall. Just bring some depth, some veteran leadership, and a nice presence. Just in the event that we do maybe pick up another injury, he can step right in and be able to help. I think it's more preemptive than a guy that we're going to just look to plug in and play right now and depend on.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Now, here's the thing that I wanted to question, because you mentioned Derek Barnett, and obviously the Dolphins apparently had interest in him, but it looks like the Houston Texans were able to get to him first. Which, again, I get it. He's a very reputable player. He has a reputation attached to him, and so does Jason Pierre-Paul, to be fair. But another player, and I briefly asked this as well, Melvin Ingram. He's still out there. He hasn't been touched. In fact, I don't think a team has even asked him to work out. They're the same age, Ingram and Jason Pierre-Paul. Is it really just because Jason Pierre-Paul? I'm trying to figure out why they would go with him instead of Melvin Ingram, knowing that Melvin Ingram had himself a fantastic season, all things considered, for Miami last year, and yet just nobody, including Miami, seems even remotely interested in bringing him in, even for a postseason rush.
Yeah, he got a bit of the rep of sack chasing, and in a sense, kind of taking plays off in the run game. Lack of effort was brought up a lot when in film breakdowns and things from around the community. It's just kind of I don't know. I've heard a lot that people weren't sure if he was a Fangio type. And I think a lot of that has to do with the effort and everything, and just being a complete player who's going to kind of buy into the system. So I don't know. He kind of got the rep of kind of just kind of doing his own thing. I thought he played well for us in spurts last year, especially early on in that first Buffalo game. He was huge for us in the early part of the season, and he kind of just tailed off. But he was a guy that I made a lot of us would have been in favor of definitely bringing in. It had it been Melvin Ingram instead of Jason Pierre-Paul, I'm sure you'd had just as many people, in favor of that signing. So, um, don't really know exactly what what made them go in that direction, but if I had to guess, I'd say it was probably just the overall just effort and just edge setting ability in the run game that Jason Pierre-Paul could possibly provide.
Yeah, I can understand that being the case. And that's actually the case that Alf built up as well, is that Jason Pierre-Paul provides the extra size that Melvin Ingram doesn't necessarily give. I will say this, though. If we're looking for pass rushing, I feel like the Dolphins already have enough pass rushing in the sense that Andrew Van Ginkel is going to get to go back outside now. That we've already seen what Andrew Van Ginkel can do as a pass rusher. He has been phenomenal when he was replacing Jalen Phillips earlier this season, when Phillips was just dealing with some I think it was back injuries that he was currently dealing with. Andrew Van Ginkel went in there and just knocked quarterbacks around silly. It was actually very impressive what he was able to accomplish, and it actually made us look at Andrew Van Ginkel and say, "You see, that's what he does best. So stop trying to make him an inside linebacker." And it kind of made us raise our eyebrow a little bit more at Vic Fangio at the time, because we were seeing Fangio trying to turn Andrew Van Ginkel into an inside linebacker, and we're looking at Van Ginkel just making quarterbacks miserable, and we're like, "This is what he does best. Why are you keeping him away from it?" So if we really need pass rush, I don't think we're in trouble with Van Ginkel doing the job. He can do the job very, very easily in place of Jalen Phillips. Now, can he set the edge like Phillips? Not really, but as far as his pass rush concerns, I'm not even a little bit worried about relying on Van Ginkel for that particular role.
Right. He's been able to showcase some versatility for us this season. Vic Fangio tried to tap into that. He's a guy though that he did a lot for us. To put to what you alluded to as far as a pass rusher, he was arguably the best pass rusher on the team for the early part of the season. He was leading the team in sacks. He was very productive. He was making plays. He was around the ball. He was doing all the right things. It was even to the point where David Long was benched and he was inserted more into the lineup. So for a small point in time. So Van Ginkel has shown us a lot, and I think Agba, even in his limited snaps, has had some production. He's been very productive. If you look at his snap production and his sack production, it's really eye opening what he's been able to do in his limited snaps. I know there's been some talk about his comfortability standing up as an edge rusher and kind of being one or more a guy that wants to put his hand into the ground and be more of a true 4-3 end type of position. But in what Fangio acts, we do run some 2-4-5, and these guys are asked to stand up at times and do some things that are unique as a edge rusher. So he has to buy in, and if he is and it will, I think he can be productive. And 6 to 8 sacks is well within reach for him.
Definitely. So let's get into the Washington Commanders game coming up. So obviously the Miami Dolphins have themselves a very interesting opportunity here to really rack up some defensive numbers. So for those who are not aware, the Washington Commanders and Sam Howell in particular, did you know, Chad, that Sam Howell actually has more passing yards right now than Tua Tagovailoa this season?
Yes, I am aware.
It's like a lot of people are going to look at that and say, "You see, look at what Sam Howell is doing." I'm like, "Yeah, but did you know that Sam Howell almost has over 100 more passing attempts than Tua does this season so far?" So that kind of balances it out a little bit there.
And he's also the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. So
By
right.
far, and he is on pace right now, according to my friend Duke. He is on pace to break David Carr's sack record in the NFL. So that's pretty sad. With David Carr's whole career was ruined by that season. I truly believe that. So I feel bad for Sam Howell if he's on pace to break that kind of sacks. So
Yeah, it's been a rough season from that standpoint from him, but he's been able to showcase some great ability at times. I've seen him make some impressive throws. He's made some good decisions. He's doing some good things, but I think the if you look at the passing yards, I think it's a bit skewed, and also in the fact that the Commanders are typically trying to keep up in games, and they like to your point, he's throwing the ball a lot.
yeah, he's throwing the ball a ton just because they can't really afford to continue running the football. So now on the Dolphins offense side of things, so the Commanders right now have one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL. This could very well be a get right game for Tua. The Commanders gave up both of their edges, so Chase Young is gone. I can't remember the other guy's name right now. Is it what was it? Brian Burns? No, that's not him. Who? What was
Sweat.
Montez Sweat? Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct. I'm sorry, like all these like Burns and Sweats, like those are all heat related names. There you go.
Right, right.
I'm justifying it. But in any case, both their edges are gone. Their young Emmanuel Forbes, I believe his name, their young rookie cornerback, he might not play yet. We're going to see what happens with the injury report. Apparently, he did not play last week. So this could easily be a get right game for Tua. And on the offensive line side of things, very interesting. Did you see, Chad, the tweet that Teron Armstead himself actually reacted to when Omar Kelly pointed it out earlier today?
Yes, yes. He alluded to the fact that he's going to be better this weekend.
Right, this weekend. Wait, this weekend? I thought he was hurt. Apparently, he's not. I don't know. With Teron Armstead, you can never really be sure. He might always be hurt. He might actually not be hurt. It's very weird when a player like it almost feels like Armstead took himself out of the game and said, "Yeah, I'm good. You don't need me anymore. I'm just going to go take the rest of the game off if that's what it is." Which I mean, on the one hand, yeah, veteran privileges. He already doesn't practice very often. Like at some point, I'm just looking at Armstead and saying, like, dude, go out there and play football, please. Like this is your job, you know. Like I wish I could get paid as much as Teron Armstead does and get as much time off as apparently he does. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, and it seems like he's always dealing with something, right? And I know all these guys at this time of year, it's a very physical sport. They're all dealing with something, but he's had the inability to be on the field consistently this season. Um, Last season he dealt with some of the same issues. This season it's almost been a little worse in that he hasn't been available for us much at all. And it seems like as soon as he gets back into the groove of things and starts to showcase a little bit, he sustains a setback. So,
But here's a question for you. How much of this is Armstead saying that he's not okay? And then how much of this is Mike McDaniel basically taking it upon himself to say, you're done, I need you later?
yeah, I think Armstead is prepared to play through whatever he's dealing with. If he's able to go out there and feel like he can give it a go, he will. And I feel like Mike McDaniel's at the point in which he's seen the injuries and how it hampered the team last year, especially with a guy like Armstead. And he's trying to do his best to be able to have him healthy down the stretch. And if it takes maybe sitting him down and shutting him down for a little bit, then he's going to go ahead and do that. But it's interesting because Kendall Lamb is also kind of dealing with something. So are they going to, roll out there with Keon Smith, out there at left tackle? Is that the plan going forward? And you maybe give Armstead some rest? Or will it be a situation where kind of like last week where Robert Hunt was dressed but didn't start and you kind of just have him there just in case? So it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Mike McDaniel decides to do with the injuries. I know he's been extremely careful this year for good reason. We've seen it's done well for Connor Williams. He was the highest graded center this past weekend, and he looks good, and the groin looks better. So
Yep. So now, Chad, I'm going to go ahead and give you a little introduction to a segment that I like to call Zero and Hero. So I'll explain it like I do every time. With when you pick your zero, what you're basically doing is you're picking the player for the Dolphins that you think will not have as big of an impact as everybody thinks that they will. So basically, your underrated guy, or excuse me, your overrated guy. Your zero means that he's not going to do as much as we want him to. Your hero means that this is the guy who's going to have basically a breakout. So and then you'll give your score. So I'll go ahead and let you go ahead. Who is your 0, your hero, and your score for the Commanders game?
My 0 for the Commanders game is going to be.
I know I gave you a hard question.
It's tough because I see this as a get right spot for the team, and I don't know who I could pinpoint as a guy who we expect to go out there and produce that won't. Maybe if I had to pick a guy, I'd say maybe this is a game in which Jalen Waddle has a bigger game than a Tyreek Hill, and maybe he. But I don't see it as a possibility because who's stopping us? Like honestly, I can't even go there. Maybe I go. I'm stuck. I'm stuck on this one. As far as
Okay.
who I can pinpoint as a 0, I have a hero in mind, for sure. I think a guy like Javon Holland, who's been having a great season overall, is going to continue to trend in that direction and be a guy who can keep things in check and keep Sam Howell from trying to take those deep shots. And if he does, make them pay. Because with Ramsey and X on the outside, there's not too many areas to go with the ball safely. With Kahu doing his thing on the inside at the slot as well. So a 0, I can't pinpoint, but if I had to go with a hero, I'd go Holland.
Okay, that's fair enough. I understand. Listen on Pulse of Nation and everything. I always ask the same question, and it's been getting harder and harder for my co-host to actually come up with a 0 because the team is just doing so well. We're not used to players actually all performing well at the same time. We're usually used to at least one dude who we're looking at and saying, "Dude, why do you suck so much?" So we're not used to everybody being good. So I'll go ahead and let you off the hook for the 0, but I do need a score prediction, sir.
Score prediction, I'm hearing it could be a little rain. Maybe it gets a little ugly. Maybe I go Miami 27-10.
Okay, so the Commanders don't get gonna get a bunch of points. Okay,
I
fair enough.
don't think they'll get a bunch of points. I don't think that this defense has shown that they're going to allow much, especially with a rookie quarterback going up against this scheme that we know likes to disguise a lot. And there's going to be some timely blitzes and things like that thrown at him. Great coverage on the outside that we alluded to. So I don't see how they'll be able to score. I mean, the run defense is playing at another level. The last 2 weeks, we've held teams to historic lows. So it's I don't see much areas that they can have success outside of maybe the short passing game to Brian Robinson. I mean, that's maybe something to be a tad bit concerned about. But the way the guys are rallying to the football, I'm not even concerned, honestly, about anything defensively. Like, I don't really see them being able to put up much points. Maybe a garbage time touchdown.
Maybe something like that. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and give mine. So my 0, and you may think this is cheating. I don't know, but I'm picking Jason Sanders. I think he's going to miss another 50-yard field goal. I think a dead clock is right twice a day, and I think that him making the field goal last week, a 54-yarder, was just dumb luck. I really do. I have no
That's
faith
fair.
right now. I have no faith in Jason Sanders to continue kicking field goals like that. And the fact that he is considered the most accurate kicker right now, statistically speaking, in Dolphins history, I still shake my head at it. It just feels like it's disrespectful to guys like Alindo Mare and them who were fantastic kickers for Miami for years in franchise history. It doesn't seem right. But that's my 0. So now I'm going to go ahead and say that my hero, I actually said that my hero was going to be Jalen Waddle. I think that Waddle is actually going to have a breakout game again. He had over 100 yards receiving last week. I think he's going to have even more this time because I think that the Commanders are going to sell out everything to try to stop Tyreek Hill from wrecking them, which obviously is not going to happen. He'll get his too, but it's just going to open the door for Jalen Waddle to be wide open for a lot of big plays, and I think we're going to see a Waddle again in this game. We're going to get to have another Waddle in the end zone. The score that I'm going to give is 35-17. Excuse me, no, I gave 35-21. I think that's what I gave the score, 35-21 during Paul's Spins Nation. I'm going to stand by that. Dolphins are going to put up touchdowns. I really do believe that. 7-14, 21, 28, 35. 5 touchdowns for Miami. They're going to score touchdowns coming out their ears. It would have been 38, but Jason Sanders is going to miss that field goal. So, and ultimately, Commanders will score 3 touchdowns. They'll get some points from somewhere, but this game is not going to end very well for the Commanders. I really don't believe it. I get that they are a tough team sometimes. They'll fight. They'll show some life every once in a while, but the Dolphins are too good. I can firmly feel that way. I'm so happy that I can have that kind of belief in my team now. So that's going to be my final score. Any final thoughts, Chad, before we call it a show here?
Final thoughts. Just thankful for Mike McDaniel and the culture that's being installed on this team. And been a Dolphin fan my entire life. I've been through a lot of rough times, a lot of rough years, and the veteran leadership, the star power in place, the allowing the players to be themselves and to be a real voice in the team and have say, and it's just really refreshing overall, just having a great offense, great defense, and a great coaching staff and a great situation overall. I'm thankful and blessed to be a Dolphin fan, and I'm enjoying the ride. And I just implore everyone to take the time and really see how far we came, and assess and enjoy this moment, because it's something that we've been waiting for a long time. We've been waiting for a quarterback like Tua for a long time, and I'm just thankful for this team and what they've done this season, and I'm looking forward to how this thing ends. Man, we got Hard Knocks in the building, and I think these guys are going to put on a show.
Amen. All right. We're going to go ahead and call it here. Thank you all so much for listening. If you have not already done so, make sure you go to prizepicks.com, use that promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. And of course, head on to My Nintendo Store, click on the links in the description below in this YouTube video in order to make your orders. You will be receiving bonus items when you do so. So you're going to get some really cool stuff along with some really awesome games. That's going to be it for this show. We will see you back on Friday for more Fins Nation. And Chad, when are you going to be doing some more inside leverage stuff?
We actually have some things coming out this week on the pod, and as well as we got playback scheduled as well. So we'll go ahead and tweet that out and make sure everyone's notified when we have that scheduled. And pretty much just looking forward to a good week of football, and we got some great content and some things coming out. And I'm sure everyone over at 5 Reasons is looking to do the same this week. So appreciate you having me on, and thanks for the opportunity. Thanks,
No,
Louis.
my pleasure. And we're going to go ahead and we will see you all next time for more episodes of Fins Nation.